go.
Freezing out here.
Come on, now, here, 243, grab that. Keep your change, eh?
Come on, Gil. Here we go. Come on in. Up we go. Oh, I am looking forward to this. Yeah, give us a drink. Hello, darling. Messy kid. What's it? Yeah. Do you know what I fancy? Dirty old man. I like it. Hey, that's a nice bit of tits for you got here, Duchess.
Oh, shall I get a hat like that, Mike?
Don't know. Can it suit you?
Don't you dare come near me, you filthy lout. I'll call the driver.
What about you, Jilly? Wouldn't you like to try the lady's posh chapeau on? No. Leave her alone. I do.
We only want to borrow it, Duchess. Come on, there's a good girl. Hey, what you doing? You shut up, noisy little bastard. Here, there we go. Oh, I got it. Here you go.
What do you think?
Oh, my pleasure. Beautiful. What's it? She loves me. She loves me.
Come on, Jilly, it's only a game.
Come on, girl. Go on.
Do you want to join in that? Doesn't like breathing the same air as like lungs, eh? Well, there's one answer to that.
Mike, no!
Right, cool it
Faye, I've just come from the remand wing. And frankly, the partition idea isn't working. It isn't serving any useful purpose whatsoever.
What does Mrs. Phillips think about it?
Well, she's still all for it, of course. It was her idea.
Oh, I think that's being a little unfair. She's not the type to defend an idea to the death just because she thought of it.
Well, she's still not prepared to admit that separating the girls from the older women was a mistake. Right now, it's pandemonium and there's no benefit being gained.
You know, Charles, Mrs. Phillips isn't the only member of the staff who's capable of taking up an entrenched position.
There is no need for all this noise over a game of table tennis. It's time you put it away. Come on, girls, keep it down. Miss Hale, I need your help next door. They're getting out of hand.
Oh, miss,
Yes, Irene.
can't you get them to shut their roundness? It's driving some of them mad here. Poor old Elsie's lying on her bed with a splitting headache. She can't take no more.
I'll speak to them again. Will they cool it for a bit, then they're as bad as ever.
Well, I know they're only high-spirited and they don't mean no harm, but it's not much fun to live with day and night.
Turn it down. All right, turn it down. Turn it down. Come on. I said turn it down.
You what?
I said turn it.
Can't hear you, miss. Got me tranny on.
That's quite enough of that.
Something wrong, miss?
That.
What's wrong with it? Our generation's bred on noise. It's part of our social environment.
If I get any more answers back, I'll confiscate the things.
It's not an answer back. It's a quote from a Sunday paper. Don't you read the papers, miss?
Miss Gilmore, the 2 new remands have just arrived.
Right, thank you. And please, remember, there are quite a few elderly women over there. Well, you're making their life hell.
me. Holiday catch. Look what the cat's brought in.
What we got, lad?
Couldn't you take her to the clinic?
Yes, I could, but I shan't bother. It's only baby colic.
Are you sure?
Look, with number one, I'd have been waiting on the steps of the health centre for the doors to open.
You learned a trick or two.
With one kid, you've got time to fuss. With two, you haven't. It's as simple as that. Shall we go mad and have some white wine instead?
We've had supper.
Yes, I know, but just to relax, put our feet up with. Well, it's so much more elegant relaxing with a wine glass in your hand.
Are you trying to seduce me?
No.
Good. I haven't got the energy either. Yes, well, I can't begrudge you a touch of elegance after a day of colicky nappies. Do you want half or a full bottle?
Oh, half. I know when to temper my extravagances.
Yeah. Nice idea. A glass of chilled white wine. We could, drink a toast to,
A good night's sleep. Do you remember those things? We used to have them in the dim and distant past.
You know you love it. How about, good news?
Yes, any time. Good news in particular, or just good news in general?
Promotion.
Have you heard something?
I've told you, I'll let you know the moment I have.
You're still hoping to get it?
Well, of course. My own establishment, aren't you?
Yes, of course I am, darling. Very much indeed.
Is Mum going to come next?
Mrs. Parr?
That's right.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Parr. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. I'm Mrs. Phillips. I'm the Assistant Governor of the Remand Wing.
Yes, the other lady said you'd be coming.
Well, sit down.
All right, Mr. Teasdale.
Now, tell me, have you seen Gillian?
Well, only in court. Not since they brought her in here, like.
Well, you'll have a chance to see her later in the visiting room when we've had a little chat. Now, tell me about her.
I don't know what to say, Mrs. Phillips. I don't understand what happened. Gillian's always been a good girl. It's like a horrible nightmare, all this.
I hope you see.
Bad again, is it, dear?
Irene, it's all.
Oh, well, you come and lie on your bed and I'll see if they can find you some aspirin. I'll close the door, then you won't hear it so loud. Oh, they'll have to do something about this.
Well, this is a turn-up. Left to rot in the nip.
Oh, I wish you'd shut up.
What?
You make stupid jokes of everything.
What else can we do, sweetie? I mean, you've got to laugh.
Oh, you thought you'd give me a big thrill, didn't you? Sophisticated swinger showing bloody off.
I didn't notice you exactly hanging back. And they were your chums.
They weren't. I just knew them from seeing them around. I told you that.
Oh, what difference does it make now? What a crummy dump this is.
And didn't you love it when they started chatting us up? Posh Deb getting her first bit of Ralph.
Do we have to be so crude?
I am crude, Duchess. I haven't got your social advantages, remember?
Actually, it was super.
Super. Bloody hell. We're in the nick on remand for 7 days while they take us apart. Have you a clue what remanded for reports means?
I haven't got your social advantages, remember?
Bitch.
Tell me.
Psychiatric, medical, welfare blokes, probation officers. Even the local priest will get a look in. By the time they've done with us, they'll know how many times a day you go to the loo. And if after the first 7 days they've not found out all they want to know, they'll remand us for another 7 days and so on.
You know a lot about it.
Yeah. Finishing school I went to, that's the sort of info you pick up.
So, then what happens?
We could get off. Probation. Or we could go to Borstal.
Borstal, you're joking for a first offence?
For what we did, yeah.
Borstal. Well, well. That would make them sit up.
Oh.
Everybody.
Crackers.
My Charlie died when Jill was 12. The youngest was just a baby. I couldn't have coped without her, Mrs. Phillips. She was a tower of strength. Well, I knew I'd no right to lean on her the way I did, but, well, I mean, you do, when there's nowhere else to turn.
Yes, I know. And she's never been in any trouble at all until now.
Well, not really. Well, she did play truant a lot from school.
And truant, did
well,
she?
not till she was nearly 15. Drove me mad to let her leave as soon as she was old enough, but I said no. Well, in the end, she just took off anyway. They all did it, her and her pals.
Oh, thanks. But what did they get up to? I mean, do you know? I mean, where... Oh, look, there's sugar in the saucer. Well, when they should have been in school?
Well, nothing wrong. I suppose he just went round the shops and that. Pictures when they had the money. Well, in the end, I could see she was just wasting her time, so I said, all right, if that's what you want. Mind you, she did get herself a good job first time off. Typing pool in an insurance company. She's ever such a good little typist.
Good. Mrs. Parr, what did she say to you after she was arrested?
Well, when the police come for me, I was still at work and I went straight to the station. She cried, said how sorry she was. Said I'd had my fair share of trouble already in me time. She didn't say why she did it, if that's what you mean.
No explanation at all?
I don't think she knows that herself.
Can we contact the parents?
They're on holiday.
Where?
Caribbean cruise.
Sorry I'm late. Who's going on a Caribbean cruise? Do they need a personal medic?
Caroline Lister's parents are on one.
Who's she?
A new remand.
I do like the way you people always assume that I know everything in advance. I only know what you tell me.
Put poor Peter in the picture, will you, Charles?
There are two girls remanded together, Caroline Lister and Gillian Parr.
And Caroline is horrendously rich.
No, I don't think so. Father's a professional man, newly retired. Mother's a semi-invalid. This cruise is something they've planned for years.
Oh?
Well, there's a rather chatty maiden aunt who runs the house.
No, the two girls don't have much in common. Difference in age, social background, etc. They met at work, same typing pool. They seem nice, decent, ordinary girls, according to their employer.
No previous record?
No. Ordinary, that is, until last Wednesday, when they started off at lunchtime drinking in a wine bar. They didn't go back to work. They teamed up with some young yobbos and apparently went berserk.
They began with a little gentle shoplifting. Went on to vandalise a row of parked cars, made a hoax bomb call to a large department store, causing it to be evacuated, and ended up on the top of a bus. 2 youths, 2 girls, and 1 elderly lady and a dog.
Well, go on.
Oh, you'll have to read the case notes. Their unfortunate victim is still in hospital and likely to remain there for some time.
Why?
Disease of the times. They've got too much, they're bored, they're looking for excitement at any cost. That and showing off to the lads. Anything you can do, I can do better.
No. To my mind, it's an explosion of animal energy, channeled in the wrong direction.
What about the parents?
Well, Mrs. Phillips is talking to Gillian Parr's mother now. Mr. and Mrs. Lister, as I said, on a cruise.
So they're flying back from their next port of call?
Caroline forbids anyone to tell them.
Forbids?
Oh, she says she doesn't live at home. She's of age and responsible for her own actions. There's nothing they can do for her.
And you took notice of an 18-year-old kid?
No, I want to go carefully. And if we plunge in with a show of authority, she'll be even more hostile. We'll be less likely than ever to find out what caused the events of last Wednesday.
When are they due home?
About 10 days, if they stick to their present sailing schedule.
Well, I suppose we can afford to wait for a few days.
Yep, I think so.
It is a delicate situation. Anyway, I'm due for a longer session with Caroline. I've only had a brief chat so far.
How did she behave?
Oh, politely. Casually. Her biggest worry seemed to be that she'd just broken a fingernail.
Typical. No remorse for the victim.
If anything, I think she was rather proud of herself. They whip themselves up into a certain frame of mind and they go along with whatever's going on. Anything.
The younger girl, Gillian.
Oh, no, there's an entirely different situation. She needs very careful handling.
Governor. Yes, Mrs. Phillips. Yes. Do you think you can get along here at about 5?
Yes, certainly.
Right, thank you. Well, I think that's all then. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Hello, Gillian. How are you feeling? Better? All right. That's good. I want you to come along with me.
Where to?
Visiting room.
What for?
Your mother's come to see you.
Tell her to go away.
Gillian! Well, don't be silly. Your mother wants to...
I don't want to see her. I don't want to. Go away. Go away!
Well, yes, I must admit the partition is causing a bit of a strain on the staff, and some of the older women have been complaining. It's a bit like having a civil war on the wing.
But you're still optimistic?
Well, of course. I mean, I have been lobbying for this experiment for a long time, madam.
Yes, I know.
Well, let's say I'm not prepared to throw in my hand just because it's not an instant success.
You're one of my most experienced AGs, Mrs. Phillips. I'm willing to go along with your instincts, but I think perhaps we all ought to chat about it. Perhaps some of the arrangements need modifying.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, what about Gillian Parr?
Well, she's drawn into herself. She won't see her mother. In fact, she doesn't want any visitors at all.
Not like her friend Caroline.
No, it's a different problem. Caroline refuses to let us bring her parents back because she's just not interested in them. Oh, well, I mean, she's not lived at home for some time. No, her parents are just two people she happens to know.
But there must be someone. I mean, a brother, sister, boyfriend. What about the woman that runs the flat, the aunt?
Well, we have tried. I mean, the probation officer's tried and the psychiatrist. No, Caroline, well, she just shares a flat with whoever happens to want a roof that particular week. People just wander through her life and out again.
But Gillian, on the other hand, is involved with her family.
Oh, yes, very much so. That's why she's in such a state.
Of remorse?
No, not for what she did. In Gillian's case, it's the consequences of her actions that are troubling her, rather than the actions themselves. Caroline doesn't even have that problem.
Morning, Charles. Am I late, or are you early?
I was early. Crispin had me out of bed at 6 o'clock this morning. Still, I can't complain. He usually goes to it at least 7:30.
Little beast. That reminds me, I must give Beth a ring.
Oh, yes, she'd like that.
Excuse me, madam, could I have a quick word? It's about Gillian Parr.
Oh, yes, of course, come in.
Morning.
Morning.
The AG is asking the governor to have a word with her.
She still won't see me?
I should get off to work if I was you, Mrs. Parr. Well, then perhaps call in again later if you can manage it. Well, apart from anything else, I know Gillian's very tired. The night staff said she hardly slept all night. They had to give her a sedative.
I don't understand it.
I'm sure she'll be better later. She'll speak to you then.
Your mother's very upset, Gillian.
I know that, madam.
Well, she doesn't understand why you won't see her. Why won't you? Mrs. Phillips has asked you, tried to help.
Nobody can.
Well, they can't if you won't let them.
Caroline ain't seeing her folks.
They're abroad on holiday. That's no reason, is it?
She don't like 'em. Says they're strangers.
Yes, but that's not true of you and your mother, is it, Gillian?
I don't have to see her. You can't make me.
Nobody is going to make you, but I wish you'd tell me why you won't see her instead of hiding behind these stupid excuses like Caroline. Whatever she does doesn't mean that you have to act in the same way.
I'm not like her. She's...
What?
She frightens me.
Beth!
Well, well. Guess who's come for lunch?
No, it's just a quick pop in and coffee. Hello.
Well, you've at least time for an egg on toast.
Had to call in and see the local magistrate. So I thought I might as well have a quick snack at home. There. Hello there, monkey face. What's that you're making? A pie for my lunch?
Well, I'm glad you've come home. You can help me with these.
Oh. Oh, well, there's one good thing if I do get this promotion. There's a governor's house in the grounds. I'll be able to pop in and out all the time.
That reminds me. Faye rang a little while ago.
Oh, yeah? She said she would.
I've invited them for dinner. Is that all right?
Oh, fine. We've owed them an invitation for a while. When?
Tomorrow night.
Oh. Who are we going to ask with them?
Well, I thought just the two of them, if that's all right.
Oh, yeah, sure, fine. You let me know about the culinary arrangements and I'll buy the wine.
Okay.
Oh. Hey, you're supposed to play with that, not eat it. Oh.
We've got to come down on one side or the other. In my opinion, the recidivists and hardened older women can be a bad influence on the youngsters.
Yeah.
It's not just a theory. We've all seen it happen.
In theory, they should all be separated. Put into cattle stalls to avoid contamination.
Look, they could influence each other for good as well as bad. I'm sure some did take notice of the older women.
Some is the operative word.
Look, do you want to go back to the old days when they were all lumped together?
Are you trying to suggest an alternative, Charles?
Well, I think Mrs. Phillips's idea is on the right lines. But we've gone about it in the wrong way. This age division is entirely fallacious. Youth doesn't automatically equate with innocence, nor age with wickedness.
Indeed not. We have as many first offenders in the over 25s as we have in the under.
Yeah, that's perfectly true. But if we were to pick out the right sort of woman and allow them to mix...
How do you qualify them, the right ones?
Well, I see what Mr. Radley's getting at, but it's difficult because of the transitory nature of the wing. I mean, it takes time to find out which woman is the right one. I mean, for instance, there's Irene Perry. Now, she's reasonable, she's down to earth, and she's got kids of her own. But she's been on remand for weeks, so we've had a chance to get to know her. But it's not always like that.
Well, they couldn't be more unruly than they are at the moment. I think it's worth trying.
We ought to stick to one policy. You can't chop and change. They'll think we've no confidence in ourselves.
What's the point of sticking to one policy if it clearly isn't a success? Yeah. But it looks as if it would be more work for you, Mrs. Phillips.
Oh, well, I don't mind as long as we get satisfactory results.
If you do, it'll be a miracle.
Look, I'm seeing Caroline and Gillian in my office in 10 minutes.
Good, I'll try and look in.
Oh,
I'm worried about those girls.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think that's all. Will you stay for a few minutes, Charles? Governor. Yes, Miss Clark. Oh, you're seeing the magistrates tomorrow, are you? Well, let me look. Wait a minute. About 4 o'clock. All right. I'll see you then. Bye. I just wanted to thank you for your invitation for tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm sorry it was such short notice.
Oh, well, I expect Beth has enough on her hands without any long-term planning.
Yeah, it'll just be the four of us.
Oh, good. Chance to see the new baby and have a nice long chat afterwards.
Yes, it was Beth's idea.
Yes, I rather gathered that. Have you discussed your possible move?
Well, only in general terms.
Is she in favor of it?
Yeah, she hopes I'll get the promotion, naturally.
Well, I haven't heard anything yet. These things take time, as you know, but you'll be the first one to be told. Well, I think I'll just have time to get over to remand before the chaplain arrives.
Now, have you both understood what I've been telling you? When you go before the court on Thursday, you could be remanded again for further reports.
Oh, no.
Yes, Caroline?
It's just all such a bloody bore. All those little do-gooders asking dreary, predictable questions. I'm sure it's very boring for you. I'm sure it's even more boring for the old lady you beat up.
On the other hand, you could get probation or be sent for a period of Borstal training. Oh, come in. Oh, good afternoon, madam. Girls, please get up. I've been just telling the girls the possibilities they face.
Oh, yes. Well, may I sit in on this?
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
Right, girls, sit down, would you?
Are there any questions you want to ask?
How long?
Well, you don't get a specified time. A girl is sent for Borstal training for a period of, from anything from 6 months to 2 years. But if she responds well, she could be released after
7 months.
Big deal.
After release, there comes a period of license when you'll be under the support and supervision of the probation officer to help you during the settling down period. Well, to help you with a new job, to come to terms with your parents, that sort of thing.
I can't help. You should be divorced or you stink of it all your life.
No, that's not true, Gillian. The tag doesn't stick unless you choose to continue with a delinquent career.
Who are you kidding? Give us credit for a bit of intelligence.
What do you expect, Caroline? A medal and a pat on the head?
The main reason for Borstal, apart from training those girls who need it, is to give you time to sit down and think things out. A lot of the girls leave here and put their past right behind them. They never get into trouble again. But the future is entirely up to you. And we do give credit for some intelligence. That's why we bother.
What future? What is the future but a whole lot of tomorrows? I don't want anything to do with the future. Today's all that matters. It's the only thing that's real. Isn't that right, madam?
Tomorrow, love. They're going to change the arrangements. It should be better then. Oh, they do care about us, you know.
Oh, lovely. We got time?
Oh, I think so.
Good.
Who's going to be there?
Well, just the 4 of us, I think.
Tete-a-tete.
Yes, it might well be. If Beth and I disappear into the kitchen, will you chat to Charles and pretend not to notice?
Of course I'll chat to Charles. Why, something wrong?
Not that I know of.
Then...
Oh, well, you know, in my job, you tend to get a sixth sense when you feel people need to talk.
Ah, and you think Beth does?
I suspect so, though I don't suppose she's admitted it to herself yet.
So tonight's little do is basically because Beth wants to use you as a sounding board. Shall we take a bottle of wine?
Good idea.
Anyway, surely there's no real dilemma. I mean, if Charles is offered a governorship, he'll take it. You'd be a fool not to.
May not be quite as simple as that.
Dina? Teresa? Sarah? Tiffany? Irene? Anne? Kate? Lillian? Margaret? Ruby?
Well, we're almost finished. Yes. I think you have to do that again.
What is it you do exactly, Bill? Sort out square pegs for square holes?
Oh, something like that. Assess people's potential and then direct them in the right direction for their ability and temperament.
Oh, thanks, I might as well. Yes, bloke I know. Pharmacist. Should have been an architect. Obsessed with line and colour.
But he got a good mix of A-levels and was streamed towards a science degree.
Yeah, well, I think his parents felt he'd have a more secure future financially.
Well, not far wrong in the light of today's events. But is he happy?
Well, he's 40-odd. I dare say he's learned to compromise.
Don't we all? Faye mentioned there's a possibility you might be moving on.
Yes, well, it's no more than that at the moment.
Well, at least if you do, the kids aren't of an age where you have to worry about uprooting them.
Oh, children can adjust. It's we older ones that are the problem.
She still won't speak to me. Doesn't matter.
Do you want me to have another word with her, myself?
No. She won't speak to me, she won't. I shan't force her. Anyway, said even the governor tried.
Well, she's perfectly well, you know. There's nothing to worry about.
Isn't there?
I'm sure it's just the strain of waiting that's getting on her nerves. Well, after she's been to court tomorrow, she'll be only too anxious to see you.
What's going to happen to her, miss?
Well, there are various possibilities.
Oh, I know all about them. Now, what's all this going to do to her? It's that awful rich girl's fault. They'll live their lives treading on other people. They'll do anything for a bit of excitement. They think money will settle everything. Well, she was a good girl, my Gillian. She'd never have done this on her own.
Come on, Mrs. Parr. Well, you mustn't break down now. Gillian will need you more than ever after tomorrow. Whatever happens, she will. Supposing I get you a nice cup of tea and then you go along home.
No. No, Tom. I'd best get straight off. The kids are with a neighbour and they'll want their supper. Only I thought I'd just call in on my way home from work, like you said.
There, I'll make us some fresh coffee.
Lovely. So long as you keep me away from those crispy mint things, I say no to pudding and make a pig of myself over those.
Oh, well, once in a while.
It's not such a big a hurdle as you think, Beth.
You mean the promotion? It isn't a leap into the unknown that I'm afraid of. I'm a pretty good mixer. Well, I am, superficially.
Is it that you don't want to put down new roots?
We haven't got such strong ones here. My parents live in Wales, and Chrissy, my sister's nursing in New York.
What is it then, this house?
It's just a house. Oh, it's adequate. It's convenient. I suppose what I'm really worried about is us. That it might damage me and Charles.
Why do you think it should?
You know we had our difficulties before the new baby was born.
Oh, yes, I knew that there was trouble then, but surely you've got over it now.
Well, babies fill the days. They can't be 100% satisfying. Is that a dreadful thing to say?
Oh, no, I expect most women would agree with you.
I can cope with nappies and strained egg custard all day if I know that we at least have the evenings and some weekends. A time to talk, meet other people, go out, be together. But if Charles gets this new job, will we still have that? Lives on the premises, has even more responsibility?
Ask Bill.
What?
Well, we don't live in the grounds of Stone Park, but we do have the same conditions to face. I think we've got a good marriage.
Yes, but you're not Charles.
You mean he can be very single-minded? Women can't afford that luxury.
I'm selfish, Faye. And that's not the first time I've admitted it to you. Oh, Charles would mean to spend time with me, to stay interested in my life and problems, but I know the prison would take over. Well, what do you do?
Try and get my priorities right. I was the one to choose marriage and a career, so I've got to learn to walk the tightrope.
Does a man see it as a tightrope? They can shut out things much more easily, including wives and families. And if Charles does, God knows what will happen to our marriage.
I don't think you've got much to worry about, Beth. I know Charles. I'm beginning to know you. You've skirted the dangers before now and survived.
Yes, you're right. We have.
Ah, good, it's ready. I've changed my mind. Just one.
Ah, so you made some more coffee, love. Good.
So then I zoom out of bed, stark naked, of course. Except for this ridiculous hat. A hat? What were you doing with a hat?
Hi, Jilly. Come to join the girls?
Hey, do I hate you again?
What's up now?
This fussy old cow wants to mind her own bloody business.
She told Alfie to get her room tidied up, said it was a disgrace.
Oh, just a few bloody rollers on the floor, that's all.
Yeah, and the rest.
Well, she's got a point, hasn't she?
Well, it's my lousy room.
So you can live like a pig in it?
Yeah. If I want to.
Now, Alfie.
Why don't you pack it in, Elfie? It's getting you nowhere.
Don't know what you mean.
I think you do.
both ready. You put all your personal knickknacks in that plastic bag provided.
You coming?
Yes. I'm going to take you to reception, where you'll collect your belongings, and then we'll take them with us.
Will you be bringing us back after?
If you come back.
You mean if we get Borstal?
Well, you could get probation. You'd be free to go home right away. Still, come on. Best not to think about it. Aren't you ready yet?
Don't get your knickers in a twist, darling. Still, mustn't keep Judgy waiting, must we?
When I think of the girls that come in here, I mean, girls like Caroline, what's her name?
Lister.
That's right, and Gillian Parr.
Yeah, they're both in court today, madam.
Yes, I know. Well, now, look at Caroline's background, for instance. I mean, a nice house, good education, travel, holiday, plenty of pocket money long before she earned her own. Her parents have given her everything material, but have they given her enough of their time? I mean, have they cared enough and in the right way?
You want to blame the parents. But you've seen Caroline. She's the one who did all the rejecting. Look, that girl had everything, and the intelligence to distinguish right from wrong. She knew what she was doing. In her case, there's very little excuse.
I'm not looking for excuses, Mrs. Armitage. Reasons.
I've been in this job long enough to know that there are some hard cases who don't have to have reasons. They're just plain bad.
At 18?
At 8 or 80.
Come in.
They're back, Gillian and Caroline.
Remanded for further reports.
Well, Caroline's parents are due back day after tomorrow. Maybe they'll be able to shed some light on things. Well, the evidence clearly suggested Gillian was totally under Caroline's influence.
So she would have gone back to work that day.
And there were the boys, of course.
She was just showing off. Look, they had minds of their own. They could have walked away. There was no coercion. Caroline admitted that.
How did Gillian take it?
Well, she seemed composed enough, managed to smile at her mother, told her not to worry.
Well, at least they're talking again.
Oh, she didn't exactly talk to Mrs. Parr. She simply said, "Don't worry, Mum. I won't give you no more trouble after this," and walked away. Dr. Mays is seeing her, deciding if he should keep her under observation or return her to remand.
I think Charles should see her too, you know.
Why you?
Mrs. Boswell thought you might like someone to talk to.
I've seen a doctor and talked to him. I'm all right, you see. Sent me back here.
Yes, it's better to have company. Young people.
I've seen Miss Gilmore.
Yes, well, you weren't very friendly, were you?
She takes too much for granted. Goes on like we're old mates. We're not.
You liked her first. Mrs. Phillips said so.
She's all right for a screw. Well, she means well, but she fusses. Know what I mean? Comes out with all sorts of junk like you've got your whole life ahead of you. Sort of thing you get in Christmas crackers. I don't want telling that.
What do you want, Gillian?
Why are you with me? I mean, why me? Why not Caroline?
Well, I probably will talk to Caroline as well.
You won't. She won't let you. She don't need nobody here.
Can't cut yourself off completely.
Why should they fuss like old hens over me and not over her? Like I was some silly little kid. I did the same as her. I knew what I was doing, same as her.
Do you want to tell me why you did it?
Don't remember there being a reason. Not really. It was a mad sort of day that day. Sun was shining. We were in the park. Got some apples. She said, let's not go back to work. Caroline, I mean. I thought she was joking. And then I thought, what the hell? I don't want to go back to no grotty office anyway. Went to this wine bar and met these blokes. They chatted us up. It was a giggle. Sitting there laughing and that while everybody else was at work. Seemed like there was nothing we couldn't do if we wanted. We went to this store. Caroline saw this necklace she fancied. She just took it. I mean, picked it up, put it round her neck, and walked off like she owned the place. Nobody said nothing. So then I did the same. Then we nicked a lot more things. Then we went outside, and there were all these posh cars parked, all clean and shiny. Too shiny. One of the blokes picked up a bit of brick and scraped it down the sides. Right down the sides of the cars. I got out my nail file and did the same. I think the others did as well. Oh, it's great messing them up. And then one of them made a telephone call about a bomb. It was obvious it was a potty call. I never thought nobody'd take it serious. And then, oh, a lot of things. Went to another wine bar, I think. But I wasn't drunk. None of us were.
Were you happy?
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy. I was having fun, wasn't I? Doing whatever came into my head. Not being pushed around by nobody. It was like we was kings that day. We ruled the whole lousy world.
Tell me about the old lady, Gillian.
Just because they're old don't mean they're sweet. She was no sweet little old lady. Nasty little dog she had, Fritz. Kept barking. Don't go near him, Fritz, she kept saying. Mike sort of kicked it. Just meant to put the wind up her a bit. Shut her up. But she started screaming. So then Eddie... Well, first the dog, and then we all piled in on her. I didn't at first, but I did after. She had this hat on with flowers. We pulled all the flowers off. Only she didn't seem like a real person. More like a tatty old doll.
What did you feel?
First I was scared, and then I wasn't. I was excited, you know? High. Didn't seem real.
It was real, though. Oh, Mrs. Friedman lying in hospital is real. And Fritz the dog chucked out of the bus and lying dead in the road, that's real. Your mother. Your brothers and sisters. You, your future. You can still make some sense out of it all.
What'd you say your name was?
Radley.
No, your first name.
Charles. Well, you've got another 7 days before you go back to court. Plenty of time to think about it. I've spoken to your mother, Gillian. She loves you. She wants to help you. Let her. Don't shut her out.
Hey. My dad was called Charlie.
Over, you mop it up.
I didn't do it on purpose. A silly cat should have left it there.
All right, Nance. Are you going to mop it up, or am I going to make you?
Looks as though Mrs. Phillips' experiment could be a success.
Well, it's early days yet.
You've been to see Gillian?
Yes, for what it was worth.
Well, what does she say?
Well, she just described the events as if it was some sort of dream she'd had.
Nightmare.
Not real, she said.
Well, that's a way of pretending that it didn't happen.
She said it made her feel excited.
Well, undoubtedly it did, at the time. But now she's at war within herself. Part of her is so horrified and disgusted that she simply cannot face up to the truth. And she's coping by remembering it as if it were indeed just a dream. Kind of grotesque fantasy.
I don't think she'll see her mother.
No, no. No, her mother is part of the real world. Part of the things in Gillian's life that she knows to be good and loving and decent. And contact with her would only emphasize the split within herself. So by shutting herself off like this, she is providing a measure of insulation against the truth.
I don't like the sound of that. How long can she keep that up for?
Well, surely it's psychologically dangerous.
Yes.
Try and get her to mix with the other girls. They can help just by making her feel a little more normal again.
But she won't talk to anyone. She stays in her room wherever she can.
You mean she doesn't even have any contact with Caroline?
None. I mean, apart from that one outburst. Can you blame her?
Why don't you talk to her?
After what she did?
Oh, she's only a kid.
How old are you?
18.
Well, she's nearly 17.
She's a kid. She never talks to no one.
That's her problem.
All quiet?
Idyllic, for the time being.
They haven't been too bad lately.
I shall remind you of that when we're woken at night by an insistent little whale.
We'll toss for it.
Oh, no, we won't. I always lose.
Yep.
Ta.
Solid?
Oh, thanks.
Charles?
Oh, by the way, Faye asked me to say again how much they'd enjoyed last night. She said rather enigmatically, tell Beth aubergine soufflé.
Oh, yes.
You girls have been talking cooking again, I suppose.
Charles, about this promotion, if you get it.
If.
I just wanted to say that I'm looking forward to it. That's all.
Moving house? Living on the premises, facing the unknown?
Oh, come on, darling. I'm not as wet as all that.
Oh, no, you'd cope. But I'd want to know you were happy about it.
I would be happy about it. All right?
Fine. Now all I need to know is that I've got the job.
Oh, no, it couldn't be that much on cue, could it?
Hello, Charles Radley. What? God, no. When? I see. Yes, I'll be right over. You have contacted the governor? Yes, of course.
Darling, what is it?
Suicide. Kid of 16.
Yes. Thank you, Peter. Will you contact the coroner? Right.
I better get back to the wing.
If the girls ask any questions, tell them that I'll be making a statement tomorrow. I don't want any discussions with the staff.
Yes, Governor.
And this is in no way your fault, Mrs. Phillips.
But I was in charge. I should have foreseen it.
Well, we all knew that she was distressed, but we didn't realize how much. I mean, even Peter Mays, and the psychiatrist who was doing his report on her, when she came in, didn't know that she had any suicidal tendencies.
Mrs. Parr isn't on the telephone. The police are going round. Oh, that poor woman.
I'll speak to her. Governor. No, tell them no comment. I'm making a statement tomorrow. Yes, just the plain facts. Press, onto it already.
I talked to her, Faye.
Oh, we all tried it. Yes. Somehow we failed her.
Did she leave a note?
3 words on a scrap of paper. I'm sorry, Mum.
The poor kid. How's her friend taken it?
Don't know. Not seen her.
It's a terrible thing to happen. Only 16.
Yeah. Fancy ping pong?
Did somebody say ping pong? I'll take on the winner.
You've heard?
About Silly Jilly?
What?
Well, I mean, wasn't she a twit? Pulling a stroke like that, what was it for, in heaven's name?
Haven't you got any idea?
Doesn't do to get too emotional, does it?
And what about guilt?
Tell you one thing. I'd a damn sight sooner be guilty and alive than repentant and dead. And anybody who says she wouldn't is a bloody liar!
Right, officers, please.
All right, girls. Don't just stand about. Find yourself something to do. Soon be lock-up time.